Hello, happy Friday. So I realized that it's important to have Facebook events, and I was thinking about what kind of an event could I do? And then I was thinking about an event that helps me, and I know helps a lot of people, whether you're a small business owner, an executive, a leader in a company, or just a regular employee and person who is a producer in a company, or maybe you don't work at all. Maybe you are retired, maybe you're a stay-at-home mom, which is a different type of job in itself. Maybe you are a student. There's many different walks of life. If you're a human being, sometimes this weekly practice can just be really useful. So for me, I'm putting it on Friday because I believe Friday is kind of the end of the week, and then people like to kind of chill and relax on the weekends, and then they usually reset for Monday. It's kind of the world's common cycle. Some people don't have jobs that let them do that, and so your day off or your rest day may be different. So adapt this to the end of when you consider your work or your week or your production cycle. So today, I started this event called the Friday deFrag, and Friday deFrag is really just a virtual group. If you want to join the event, there's nothing to attend live, there's nothing to attend online. It is just really putting it on your calendar so that it pops up in your Facebook events to remind you on Friday to deFrag. And I'm going to go through what that means right now. And again, it doesn't really matter if you're a professional or not. The more, in my opinion, the higher up of a leader you are, the more important this is to do. But anybody can get value from doing it. So on Friday, a lot of times what happens is we've been busy all week and things kind of pile up. Some things that you intend to get done haven't gotten done, emails answered, whatever. And Friday afternoon, I believe, is a really important time to kind of collect and do this type of a deFrag activity. deFrag is really from the computer. If you're not familiar with what deFragging is, it's a process on the computer to go through and remove open things that are just taking up computer space that don't need to be there. And the same thing happens with our mind. When we have said to somebody, oh, I'll send you that file, or I'll tell so-and-so to give you a call, or whatever it is, like when we tell people to do things, we keep that in our mind. When we have little pieces of paper, some people have chronic Post-it notes all over the place, or they have stacks of paper or lots of emails, whatever it is, we have this pileup of information and it bogs down our mind and our brain and we can't move as fast. And then also what happens is when we leave for the weekend, sometimes we take those things with us, which makes us not enjoy our weekend as much, or sometimes we forget them over the weekend, and so by Monday we've forgotten that promise to a coworker or to a person, and then things fall in the cracks, which isn't really great. So this is a quick little process. I'm going to try to find a way to put this on the group. If you are interested in this, I would really encourage you to join the Friday deFrag group, because that's a place where people can comment. You can say, great, I did my deFrag, and people can celebrate with you. Or you can say, I deFragged and I'm realizing that I always have this problem. What do you guys do about that? Put it out there to the group to get some insight and some suggestions. Or maybe you finish something really big and you're like, wow, I just applied for this new job or this certification or whatever it is. Put it out there so people can celebrate with you your wins. And then the last part is really planning and making that list for next week of what you're doing. And we'll go into why that's important, but planning. And so maybe you put, here's my top priority for next week. And as a group, we're co-holding people accountable. So it's just a virtual group to make sure you do your deFrag time, and trust me, it will serve you. So number one, the first thing to do is to download the past week. There's really two pieces in downloading. To me, the first thing is open items. So open items exist in a couple different places. Number one, if you have a to-do list, sometimes there's things that are not done on that to-do list. So you're pulling things off from that to-do list. I like to have a notebook that has a big sheet where you can download all these items. So this is your working planning sheet. So you've got this sheet and you're pulling all the items off from your to-do list that you did not accomplish. Another place to look is open windows. Sometimes people, I am a classic for this, is when I'm working on something, I just leave the internet window open and I'll run all week like that. And if my computer does a restart, I'm like, "Wah," because I lost some things that were open for me. So things that you're working on that you might have been doing some research on, maybe you were, for me, I've got a conference I was looking at. I was looking at a widget for my website. I was looking at an event, whatever. So, everybody has their open windows. So you take those open windows, write down those things. Another thing is just to think through promises. If you grab your calendar and look at the appointments that you've had in the past week, and you might look and go, oh, I was at church and I told so-and-so I'd do this, and oh, I was at that meeting and I said I would do this. Oh, and I met with so-and-so and I was supposed to send them this document, whatever it is. So look through your calendar and try to get an idea of commitments that you might have told somebody verbally that you would do, but you didn't write down. And then go ahead and grab those. Another place that a lot of open things hide are emails. And email is kind of the abyss that a lot of people have. Some people are magnificent and amazing at keeping a zero inbox, which is really great. There are lots of books and blogs and things out there about email management because most people don't keep an empty email box. And a lot of times, I believe it is more common that people use their email box for their to-dos. And so if they still have something to do, it's in their email box. So it's a great place to go and look at emails you might have flagged, look at emails that are just you haven't responded to yet, and again, flag them, put them in a folder to respond to, whatever it is, but grab your tasks out of your email. So these are kind of downloading open items. The next thing is to look at celebrating wins. So as you're downloading, it's really important to celebrate what we have done. A lot of times people feel very guilty and very conscious of the things that they haven't done. And the burden and the guilt from this can actually demotivate you from moving forward and accomplishing other things. In my opinion, it's useless. So you want to just let go of what you haven't done, get it downloaded on the list, and make your plan for next week, and then stop and celebrate what you have done. So celebrating wins might be, what have I accomplished in the past week? Maybe there was a project that you finished. Maybe there was a system that you set up, whatever it is. So accomplishments for the last week. Write those down. It's an important thing to write them down. Sometimes when you go back and you look, oh, what did I accomplish this year? And then you have done your Friday deFrags and maybe you wrote them in your journal or your planner, and you look at these things that you have accomplished. It helps you to feel like, I have made progress this year, which is good. So think about your accomplishments. And the other thing that's really important is to think about the people who helped you accomplish your items. So there may be people who got their tasks done on time that made it possible for you to do your task. Or there may be people who helped you out with a piece of it or whatever. Think about those people who were important in contributing to your ability to win and succeed this week. Go ahead and pop them a quick email or a quick text and just go, hey, I want to thank you so much for your hard work with XYZ this week, and to give a shout out to them and to celebrate their contribution. It's really important to recognize people, and that does make a difference. So that's celebrating that. Okay, so that's all the download. And then step 2 is to set up goals and priorities for next week. Now you have this sheet with all these tasks that you've written on there. There's probably a lot of tasks. Do not use that for your to-do list. That is a mistake that a lot of people make, is they just have this massive list of to-dos, and then of course as soon as they look at it, they feel overwhelmed, demotivated, and don't really know where to start or what to do. So first of all, go through, and there's a couple D's. So delegate. Is there anything on that list that could be delegated? You look through and you go, should I really be doing that task? Sometimes, especially as leaders, we have things on our task that we really should not be doing, but we keep it because we want to make sure it's done right, or because we think it takes too long to explain it, whatever it is. You want to go ahead, look at those tasks, and shoot an email with the directions, or make a task to delegate this, and this to whoever. So delegate what someone else really should be doing. Number 2 is ditch low value items. Sometimes there's things that have creeped on our to-do list that we thought were a good idea, but they're just not. They're not really going to add value. So let go of those and move on. So you want to take those and just scratch them off. Maybe there's something that you're researching because you thought it was interesting, but then you're like, you know what? I don't really need that after all. So ditch the low value items. Next is determine the things that you need to delay to the parking lot. And I recommend having a parking lot sheet. Personally, I like to use an Excel sheet because in Excel, you can put the priority, you can put like, you know, maybe I'm looking at a conference and I'm going to delay that until May. Or maybe I want to write an article on this, this, and this, and I'm going to delay that until May. Whatever. You can put the month that you want to delay it to, the date you want to delay it to, you can put comments, whatever. So I really think using an Excel sheet for organizing things is really important because then you can do a query search and look at when May 1st comes, you look at everything in your parking lot that you moved to May and determine if those things need to be done that month. So have a document or something where you put things in the parking lot. Sometimes it can be a notebook, whatever. You don't have to be high tech. It doesn't matter. Just have a different list for your parking lot. So that's the parking lot. And the next thing is really your do list. And that's what you're going to do for next week. For me, I have these little note cards that I made for myself, and I make up one of these every week, or every day, actually. So this is my daily item or list that I use when I'm setting my to-dos for the next day. Oh, sorry, my cord's getting smashed. Okay, so then you're making your do list. So for this, you're making your week plan of what are the things I need to do next week. And so you're running off from that week. And then the next thing that you do is double check and just kind of think through and go, okay, did I get everything? Sometimes the way our brain works, our frontal lobe can hold 7 things about at one time. So if you've been doing some research and you're doing this, this, and this, you can hold about 7 items. Once you download things out of your brain has more space to remember new things. So sometimes you will actually recall new items that you didn't catch before when you were downloading. So it's important to do a double check. Was there something else I promised? Was there something else I need to do? Whatever, just double check it and see. And then you're done. Leave that list where you're, you know, if you have a workspace, leave it at your workspace. And know that your brain is subconsciously working on these things over the weekend. You are more likely to be able to enjoy your weekend, to rest and relax, knowing that you've got it down on paper. You don't need to remember it. It's there. When you show up on Monday, your brain is subconsciously been processing it and putting things in order. That's honestly legitimate. Your brain does do that because you've written it down. So it knows what you were thinking about doing on Monday, and it's already starting to formulate, how am I going to say that to so-and-so? How do I want to do this? Whatever. You know, even like, hey, you should stop by the office store and pick up folders because you're going to be making those file folders today. Those things happen in your brain. Our brain is incredible. And so when you plan like that, your brain is working ahead of you or with you to help you execute what you're doing. So then you're done. Just leave it at work. Don't take it home. I really recommend a full day off that you're not working. Ideally, people have a Saturday and Sunday that they can recharge, do personal things, hobbies, recreations, whatnot. If you have a project that you're taking home, that's fine. You have one project that you're taking home. You're not taking your entire to-do list home because it's carrying the burden and the weight of all these tasks with you. So if you're like, hey, I'm going to take this book home and read this weekend, fine, that's not a big deal. Or if you're like, hey, I'm going to just take home, you know, this article and I'm going to read it and, you know, respond to that. Great. It's fine. That's not a big deal, but it's an isolated task. Leave your jumbo to-do list in your workspace, and then Monday morning you come back and you're ready to go. So this practice is really a fabulous practice every week to do. It helps you to clear your desk. It helps you to clear your email, clear your voicemails, all of those things. I forgot actually to mention that. Voicemail and text can be another secret place where to-dos hide. So anyway, I hope that is helpful. Like I said, I'm going to try to figure out how to get this document in the deFrag group. So right now it's a public Friday deFrag group. If you would like to be part of that, you just accept the events that are on Friday to be a reminder to yourself to do the deFrag. And then if you want to, you can post in the group about your wins or questions or your Commitment for the next week is fine. If you want a little shout out or some encouragement, that's great. And then each week, it's just something that you do and work into your routines. So I hope this is helpful. It sounds a little 101. A lot of psychology and things are very 101, but they're activities that we don't do. And so we know about them, but we're not doing them. And then we're like, man, why do I feel so crazy and scattered and all over the place? Well, if we come back to the basics and do some of these activities, it can really help to give your mind some clarity and focus and a plan, which is fantastic for your productivity. All right, have a great weekend.